guys, I'm here with another wrap up, so let's get into this. The first book I have is actually a book I read a few months ago and I just keep forgetting to add it in my hauls. I read it back in April. I meant to put it in my May wrap up. That didn't happen, and so I'm finally getting it in here. This is Every Which Way But Dead. This is the fourth book in the Hollow series by Kim Harrison, and this series follows Rachel and her partner Ivy as they deal with Rachel and Ivy living together because Ivy has feelings for Rachel, and because of Ivy's vampire instincts wanting Rachel to be hers, they have a lot of issues with them being roommates. And Rachel is dating Ivy's ex-boyfriend, which she doesn't mind, but she kind of wants Rachel for herself, so that causes some issues too, and just follows them in all their adventures going throughout the series. And I really did like this one. I believe I gave this one a 3-star rating like I do almost every book in the series, but they are good enough to make me want to continue them. Next, I read My Boyfriend Bites. This is a very short comic book. The other books in the series aren't drawn so well. This is the only one that I could stand to watch. The other ones kind of look like, if you grew up in like the 90s, then you'll know what I'm talking about. The funny pages, the way they would look like in the back of the newspapers. Very quick little, not very well drawn doodles. That's what the other books in this series look like. This is the only one I could actually stand to read. And it is My Boyfriend Bites. It is the third book in the My Boyfriend is a Monster series. I have mixed feelings about this thing. It started out really good at first, and the middle got a little weird. And then as you get towards the main issue of the book about why all the vampires are after this girl, Vanessa. All the vampires are after Vanessa. It is supposed to be like she is the great-great-granddaughter of Van Helsing, the vampire hunter. And so all the vampires are after her because apparently her blood is some sort of magical cocktail and it will boost their abilities and their powers. But then as they go throughout the book, it's found out that while the description of the person it gives are kind of similar, you know, she has blue eyes and she's supposed to be born around this date, but the date of birth is not right. And so as they go on, they suspect it might be her teacher, and then it turned out not to be the teacher, and then it's never resolved on who the person actually is. So it's just like, okay, I get the person's supposed to be like some sort of ancestor of Van Helsing, but who is it? And is it her? Is it not her? Is it her teacher? What the heck is going on? Because her teacher's like in his 80s, so I don't see him hunting vampires. One second. And so it's just never resolved. There's just like no conclusion. It just sort of stops. Like you'd expect it to wind up, maybe she starts hunting vampires, or you get or at least it's found out who the vampire hunter is, but there's just nothing. It just stops. So very dissatisfied with it, and it starts getting a little weird at the middle, like I said. But I think I gave this one a 2.5. Next is a book that I honestly wanted to enjoy it. The idea of the story is absolutely fascinating, and in the beginning I was enjoying it, but as the book went on I started to lose a lot of interest. And oh, my bookmark's still in here actually. So I stopped at page 210. Chapter 21, and that book is Furyborn. So I really went into this expecting to enjoy it, and it took a weird turn for me. It started out really good. Oh, back of the book, sorry. So I went into this really expecting to enjoy it, and at first I was really disinterested in Rielle's storyline, because the first look you get into her story, you find out how her story ends. So I was like, okay, well, I pretty much know everything now. Everything I really wanted to know about her story now. So I'm more interested in Elena's story. And I'm really interested in that because she kind of was like Selena to me. If you've read the Throne of Glass series, you know how Selena starts out. She was kind of like that. Although she was a lot more cold than Selena, I'd say. Like she would turn off her emotions when she knew that she had to just push through something to protect her family. And then she just got colder and colder, and then it just felt not right, like more like she was trying to be evil, but since you were in her head you knew she wasn't, and so it just didn't feel right. And as the story went on, I started to lose interest in her story, and then started to get more into Rielle's story, and then I just kind of lost interest in both their stories, and I pushed myself to page 210. And so I was just like, no, there's other books I can read. I definitely will give this another try later on in the year, maybe. Like with the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series. I tried that once and I made it to maybe chapter 10 when I just lost all interest in it, and I put it down, and I'm actually rereading it right now, and I am enjoying it a lot more than I did then. So I think I just wasn't in the mood for it, and it's probably the same thing with this one. I'm just probably not in the mood for it, but I will give it another chance sometime later on in the year. Next, I read Mother of Shadows by Meg Ann. This is the first book in the Chosen series, and I believe this is a 4-book series. I believe books 1 through 3 are out now. Book 4 is supposed to be coming out sometime this year, and it is about a girl who finds out that she is the, oh, what was the name of it? Basically, it's like a chosen queen of these people. It's unclear of whether she is the daughter of the queen or if she is the daughter of 2 common people, because in the prophecy it says that she would be the daughter of 2 unmagical people. In this world there are people with magic, people without magic, but a lot of people believe that she is the daughter of the queen who died, and that she was hidden away after her birth to protect her, because the prophecy also said that if she were to stay within the court system, that she would somehow become corrupt and the world would like go into chaos and stuff. But she believes that this might be speaking of another queen who she might be battling sometime in the future. And then in this world, they also have soulmates. So there are like 50 guys during her welcoming ceremony who come to her to see if maybe they are her mate or if she will accept them as a marriage partner. And she ends up meeting her mate there, and they go on this huge adventure of her trying to get peace with his people, because they have been exiled for like 300 years after something one of their relatives did like 300 years ago. And it was really good. It was really short. There was no filler. So if you're looking for a quick, no filler read, I definitely recommend this one. It was very good, and I can't wait to start book 2. Next, I read The Interview with the Vampire comic book, Claudia's story. It was different. It was definitely interesting to see from Claudia's point of view, but I was not so thrilled about it because it was all in black and white. I was hoping for some color. The only thing that actually was colored was like blood or people's lips every once in a while, but I think that's because they had blood on them. And that's pretty much it. That was the only color. Everything else was in black, white, or gray. And I think it would have been so much better if it had color. Next, I read all 4 books in the Dark Swan comic books. I believe this is the comic book of Richelle Mead. Is it Richelle Mead? Yeah, Richelle Mead's Dark Storm adult series. I'm not completely sure about that though. Books 1 through 2 were good. Books 3 and 4 were just like dull, and I had no interest in them at all. Since they were completely in a bind-up, I would give overall, each book 1 and 2, I'd give a 3-star rating. Books 3 and 4, I'd probably give a 1 or a 2-star. But overall, I'd give the whole a 3-star rating. Next, I read Queen Takes Night by Jolie Sue Burkhart. This is about a girl named... oh, come on, what was her name? This is about a girl named Shara who at the age of 14 watched her mother be murdered by these really creepy monster things. If you've ever watched Blood Plus, they kind of look like the Chiropteran. That's what I imagine them to look like, only with hair. And so she watched her mother be murdered by this man who she calls him the Watcher. And ever since then, she's been on the run. She cannot stay anywhere for a very long period of time because they seem to sniff her out, especially around that time of month. And this is the first time I've ever seen that time of month, a period basically, mentioned in a vampire book. So that was definitely refreshing. And so just as they catch up to her for a final time and she's for sure that she's going to die or they're going to kill her somehow, she's ready to slit her throat when she hears this voice call out, calling her a queen. And then they come tell her that they are her blood, which are basically vampire knights, called by her power, because something about her power saw something in them that she would want. And so they followed the signal basically to her. They save her life. They take her back to her family home where there is I guess you could call her like an estate lawyer there, and she's there to give Shara all the information on her inheritance and anything she could need, court politics, all that stuff. And she just learns basically all the vampire rules, what her role will be, the things she can do, and why her family specifically are so powerful. She is actually supposed to be like a 1000th time great granddaughter of the Egyptian god Isis. Overall, I would give that book a 3.5 rating. It was very short and very spicy. Let's just say smutty might be a better term. And it was very good. So I definitely, if you are into vampire smut books, I guess you could say, because I wouldn't say there's exactly romance in it. There's definitely attraction and feelings between the characters, but I wouldn't call it love per se. But I would give that book probably a 3.5. And then I read the next book in this series, which is Queen Takes King. All the books in this series are like chess moves, you know, Queen Takes King, Queen Takes Knight, Queen Takes Bishop. All the books in this series have a chess move as its title. And so this one continues on right from where the last one left off. I think it's like a few days later is when this one picks up, and it explores Shara. She had these weird dreams in the first book, and this book explores it. They try to figure out what the dreams are, and when they figure out the dreams are actually real and that's some sort of vision, they try and find out who this person is, why he's calling to her, and how she's supposed to get him out. And it takes definitely a different turn than I thought it would, but it was very interesting. And I would give this one probably a solid 3-star rating. Not as good as the first one, but I am looking forward to continuing the series. One thing that was definitely different in these books is that it starts off with her and the 2 knights, which is fine. I've read threesome books before, and it becomes her and a 4th guy, and then a 5th guy, and then a 6th guy. It's like, oh, okay, girl, hold up. You were a virgin a week ago. Just slow your roll a little bit, okay? And so but I do really like the series. And then next I gave Zenith a try. I didn't love this one so much. I didn't even finish it. Like Furyborn, I'm going to give this a chance at another time. I just think I wasn't in the mindset for it, or maybe just not in the mood for it, but it was good. I definitely did like the beginning of it. To the part I made it on, I think I made it to page 180 or so. I just lost interest in it after a little bit, and everything that I imagined would take place during the book happened within like 200 pages. Like, you know, she gets caught, she gets this job, then they make plans to go get the person, they get there, and then it just like stops. And then it's like, okay, I imagine all this takes place throughout the book, and this is only like 200 pages in, and all this has happened. So what the heck is going to happen the rest of the book? But I do want to give it a chance at a later date. I'd probably give it a 2.9 for as far as I made it. Not overall, but I didn't rate it on Goodreads because I didn't finish it. I don't like rating books unless I finished it or just have given up on them entirely. This book I actually haven't finished. I'm still currently reading this one, and that is A Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I've decided to give this one a chance after I read it 2 years ago, I think. I have to check Goodreads, but I don't feel like it right now, and I'm rushing to the library to return some of these books before they're due. And so I haven't finished this one, and I think I'm about, let's see, what page am I on? I'm on page 120, but I am really enjoying it a lot more than I did the first time. Like I said earlier, I pretty much gave up on the book after a certain point because I wasn't interested in it. I'm much more interested now, and I don't know if it's because I'm older or just maybe at the time I just wasn't in the mood for it, but I am enjoying it a heck of a lot more now. But like I said, I'm not finished reading this one, so I will not be rating it or giving you my ideas on it. Other than that, I am very much enjoying it at this point. Well, that is my wrap up, and I will see you guys next time.